What's happening, everyone? Boy, do I feel better than yesterday. Yeah, it's just coming back from PulseChain tour and all that, and super tired. But again, it's supposed to be my day off, and I'm like, just gonna take it easy. And then I see some tweets from our friend Ricardo Calderon. Shout out to Air Friend Somi. So I want to have a second part of this. I think if you haven't seen yesterday's stream, I go over a lot of key points, compelling arguments, and all that stuff for EHEX, PHEX, all that. But this one, I didn't answer any questions. I had a lot of people yesterday didn't answer any questions that I remember. Just didn't have time, didn't have the energy. But today, I want to make this more of an AMA style. So I can't get to everything, but I will try to get to a lot of your questions. So any questions, relevant comments, otherwise, feel free to put them in the chat, and I'll try to get to them. So, and if you're new to Hex and PulseChain, welcome. The community and market has been trying to figure out this original Hex on Ethereum when it was first launched in 2019, and the fork version of Hex and where it fits in on PulseChain, which launched in May 2023. How they'll operate, the ratio, premium, discount, one survives, one thrives, all that stuff. So again, I'm not sure. I imagine there's plenty of people who just don't care about this. Obviously, plenty of people who are trying to figure it out and the different strategies and the different ways of thinking about it. I've been around for quite a while. Been following Richard since 2017 and been active in the community, streaming and tweeting and stuff the last couple of years. So I got to see a lot in the past. I do vintage RH videos and stuff. Got them coming out every Thursday until June 2025. That's been going on for probably about a year or so now. So I've got to listen to a lot of what he's had to say in the past, and I know everyone's trying to play videos. He's posted videos and otherwise. Honestly, I haven't seen a consistent message on EHEX PX over the past couple of years that would have led me to 100% expect yesterday's tweet storm and stuff. And again, I've watched hundreds of hours of Richard and clipped his videos to 200, 300, 400 times on the channel, and all that stuff goes. So and again, it's not this naive thing of like, oh, it'll just be fine, it'll work itself out type of thing. It's a sacrifice. Like I said, I'm calling it a sacrifice. That's the way I think is most interesting to look at it, because it isn't just this, okay, I'm going to say it, I'm going to hint at it, I'm going to wink about it, and everything's going to be fine. Everyone's just going to get it, all that stuff. I talked about yesterday. It'd be interesting if it happened earlier, a lot earlier. And I gave this update today as well, because this was a video. I believe he retweeted this at the time too. This was right when things started getting heated up in the debate and all that stuff. And I'd asked him I think it was at the Hex conference in 2022 about, is this a migration? And he says no. And so he retweeted it at the time. That's why it's got over 100K views. And to me, that signals, okay, it's not a migration. Like EHEX. And again, what do you extrapolate from that? You're like, okay, the most obvious simple thing is EHEX is not going away, that type of thing. So I just want to put together this timeline. 22, not a migration. 2023. That was the tweet I brought up yesterday about the market has decided type of thing. That Hex on PulseChain is worth more than Hex on Ethereum. And then your 2024 update, Hex is now PulseChain Hex in many, many words and many different ways, says our founder. So I really try to, when I talk about these things, I really try to keep emotions out of it as much as possible. Of course, that's, it's impossible to do completely, but I really try to take the objective approach of what do we know? How do I interpret information? What am I seeing out there? Other people's takes, I think, are very interesting as well. So that's what I'm going to do. That's how I produce content. I try to put together stuff to bring good information. And again, that's my question to you all. I'll take a few questions today. What are you wondering about? What are you trying to figure out? What is it that you're trying to figure out? And I can, let you know if I have some commentary that's interesting enough to share on it. So, and I'll talk about Sack Daddy and everything else, and some other points I put together this morning too that I wanted to discuss. But they're mostly I just want to have time to talk to you all. And again, some people are having they're frustrated or annoyed. I was too yesterday to a certain extent. But yeah, I think I consider this a sacrifice. It's not a clear win-win for everyone in this, happy short-term move. We're gonna look at the markets and see how they're responding a little bit too. So I will go. I'm gonna go down the list, say hi to chat a little bit. Again, I won't be able to get to everyone, but I'm just gonna kind of click around and get to a few questions and comments. The first comment, which happened hours ago, I do believe conscript do we die. I'm not betting on that one. I'm not betting on that one. Maybe you're making a joke though. PulseX, nice name by the way. Nice name. POE Gamba. Even PHEX not giving any returns, failed bull run. I think that is way too early to call. I will not be calling. That anytime soon. I will say. Fox Malter, how's it going, man? Ted Nelson's here. What's up, man? Danny Chop. Crypto Khalil, how's it going, man? Penalties making up for it all. That is something people are benefiting from as well. The emergency in-stake penalties from people who are trying to get out now before they believe it gets worse. What if it doesn't? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball, but I have different ways and angles of looking at it. I'll say that. Red Squirrel, I'm going to call you fifth today. I know I'm not going to count, but you're either first or fifth, and you can be fifth, sir. You can be fifth today. Good to see you. Chad Adonis Franz, I saw you last night, man. I just really trying to get through stuff. Good to see you. Good to see you. Bringing the muscles to the mix here. Appreciate that. Timothy Harris, how are you, backward hat man? I've been that's been my brand for quite a while. If you're saying how are you, that I'm doing well. I'm doing much better than last night. I was extremely tired last night, but also I had a lot I want to comment on. So doing much better. Appreciate that. Pineapple Love, how's it going? PulseX, what's up, man? Poke E-Hex with a stick. Is it dead yet? I will bring up a chart. I do not believe it is dead though. I always automatically go to PulseChain section on this. Hopefully internet works and not being annoying. Cool. But Hex, as of now, when you type in Hex, the ETH Hex comes up. Maybe it's the oldest liquidity pool with significant liquidity. So let's check. I checked earlier today. That's how I made the price. What I got on the daily. Let's look at the 15-minute. I mean, it looks pretty sideways to me. I'm no chart guy, but you see the dip yesterday. You see the up and down, trying to figure stuff out, volume and otherwise. And then, yep, it's kind of just going right here right now. I think trying to figure out what's going on. Again, just skipping around a little bit. I saw a post earlier on one Telegram channel. This is a 6D chess game. I mean, just to comment on that for a moment, I think that there is more to it than it's obvious. And we don't have all the pieces. And I've commented on this on a bunch of different Richard stuff and, different angles of glory and stuff like that. We don't have all the information. Nobody does. I'm going to speculate except Richard. All we can do is guess based on data and information that's available and extrapolate and build our own narratives and stuff like that. So you could literally paint this picture a bunch of different ways. It maybe depends on how big your bag is or otherwise. For me, I try to not do that. I try to just think about whether I'm holding a bag of something or not, or a big enough bag or whatever it is, whether it's all of my holdings or not. I really try to look at it from the angle of, just what do I know? What perspectives can I put together to inform myself of the different options, the different perhaps possible future paths and stuff. And then what do I believe, what can I move? What kind of move or non-move should I make going forward? That's the way I think about it. So, but I think there definitely is more than meets the eye. This isn't, yeah, a lot of stuff is just unknowable. You really just got to guess. So, not advising anyone to guess, but that's just the way I think about it. I have to guess with the information available. Crypto 50x is only 6 doubles. That sounds. I'm gonna trust you on those numbers, man. And I like the bullish sentiment. I said that yesterday. I said bullish on Hex. I replied. The first thing I replied to Richard's tweet, his original tweet about it, was bullish on Hex. Yeah, I was confused and a little frustrated at the time, but I thought I couldn't help but think, yeah, bullish on Hex. Blood in the street, perhaps. I mean, some people. I mean, Summy's made a few different posts. His perspective is very interesting too. He talks a lot, and I'll pull up one of his tweets in a minute. But it's interesting how I think a lot of what I'm hearing from him too is about the sentiment of buying the dip type of thing, and then also the feeding into Pulse and PulseX, or maybe Ink. I forget. The other coins, the other infinity stones. Instead of going into PHEX, people selling EHEX for PX, a lot of it may just be like, well, I don't like Hex right now. I don't like what's going on. Go into the other coins. So, but again, Sack Daddy's buying them all. So I'm not betting against him. Buying them all in PulseChain, of course. So it's interesting to look at the different perspectives like that. What's up, cryptographics? Yep, I'm back for part 2. This is so big, I had to do part 2. I had to cover it yesterday, and today I'm like, okay, I want to, actually talk to the chat because I didn't do that yesterday. And I know you guys probably have some interesting comments I can riff on. Where can we track what whales are doing in Pulse and Hex and PulseX buy and sell? I mean, Twitter is just one kind of information source. You got Whale Hex. So I mean, I have all these different names. Shoot, what is it? Whale Pulse Whale, Whale Pulse, Whale Pulse. Yeah, so Whale Pulse is one. So twitter.com/Whale Pulse, and then there's also Hex Whale Hex. Is it always Whale Hex? I guess it is. Okay, Whale Hex and Whale Pulse. There you go. To get all the different big moves that are happening for us in stakes and otherwise. Hex Edits, how's it going, man? Glad I've been buying both. That is the sentiment. Some people are thinking it's a dip. I talked about yesterday. Before this happened, my sentiment was cheapest T shares, but 60-40 PHEX in favor of PX of what I would be buying or staking or otherwise. Now, I don't know. Again, it's been 24 hours, so I don't know. That may get adjusted. It's hard to talk anyone into staking EHEX right now. I'll say that. Like off the top of my head, I'm like, how do you the future with EHEX is so, to me it feels so uncertain that I can't imagine the long-term stakes for EHEX going up. I'll say that. Again, whether you think that's fortunate or for the best or unfortunate or for the best or whatever it is, I mean, that seems like an obvious sentiment. Onboarding and stuff too. Again, we were already so gatekept that it was hard to get anyone into EHEX in the first place, as far as like sending them to a centralized exchange or just getting them to go to Uniswap and buy and stuff. We had to send them to a special, had to send them to ETHEX or send them to Alex's front end or otherwise, or maybe I guess 1inch. Some aggregators support it too, I think too, but it was just not super straightforward. And then the whole looming of, okay, this kind of was never really settled. And again, I say that's never really settled because what does settled mean? I think settled means one either goes to zero or goes so far down that the liquidity, the TVL, the activity, the price is so drastically different that the market has abandoned it. I think that's one definition of settled. And that hasn't happened. And it doesn't matter if Richard tweets about it 50 more times. The market decides. So that's just the factual basis, right? Now, whether it's good for the ecosystem or not, whether it plays better with, his plan, assuming he has one, for example. Shout out to 369 viewers, by the way. Love to see that number. Whether that plays into his plan or not, whether he thinks that's good to take the ecosystem to the moon, if indeed that's what he would like to do, or any other wells or entities that are involved in benevolence and stuff, that's a different story. I'm talking about the facts. So whether you feel it's best that EHEX goes away, you can form an opinion narrative over that. Whether you believe you prefer EHEX to stick around, there'd be two hexes, a combined hex, and we talk about it like that. You can have a narrative and you can believe that. I'm just trying to, kind of weigh between the different ones. Cryptogaps have Hex on Ethereum as a meme coin. Don't forget meme coins tend to pump the hardest. There you go. I mean, that is a sentiment I've seen too, is Hex on Ethereum is now a meme coin, which again, does it fit the standard definition? Of course not. But, it obviously you can stake it and all this stuff, but at what point does something that has utility become a meme coin because it is abandoned? I'm not saying EHEX will be abandoned. I'm just saying, I guess there is a point where it could become that, or is it just figuratively one because the narrative of it being valuable has been weakened so much? I guess there's an angle to be at there too. I'm not saying it has. I'm just saying there is an angle for that. Should it happen? Nothing's happened yet. Look at the chart. This is nothing. This is, it went below a penny. I mean, hard, but like it's not. Liquidity is there. I mean, everything's there now. So I'm not. Yeah. As of now, that's what it looks like. PulseX, how come is validated? Go to gorealdefi.com. Click on validators, and there are a bunch of videos. There's some intro videos. There's some. If you watch a 20-minute video, I talk a lot about how it works, how hard it is, what you need to know, all that stuff. Just watch from zero to validator, been 20 minutes, and that's your best bet for that one. So drop in the chat, Go Real DeFi. Check it out. Learn to earn, and then validators. A bunch of other good stuff on there too, but that's the one relevant for what you're asking. Because I did a bunch of validators. I want to keep this mostly Hex right now, but I've got plenty of videos where I cover that though. Strong keeper, $100 swap on ETH is killing all the fun. Is that what's making it? Is that what's making the price? That's kind of like poetic, huh? It'd be funny if it's like, you know what? I would sell EHEX, but it's just too expensive. I don't want to pay the swap fee. Funny enough, if it does survive and thrive after this, if it does do well, there's just a segment of the community that ignores it and a segment that does not. If Richard changes his mind when the facts change, if any of that stuff happens, it'll be, some people, their judgment will work out to be better and some will not, but it's been 24 hours. So we don't have a lot of data right now. Something wrong with the bridge. I tried all day pay fee. I can prove. I'm not sure. Live or death. If anyone in the chat can help them out, feel free. I'm not sure. Serious question. If RH is sack day, then who is sack mommy? I don't know if we have a sack mommy. Maybe we'll get another benevolent whale, jump on board and start buying up all the tokens too. Not impossible. That's the thing. Again, I always like to do this. I like to zoom out. What's happening now? What we see, benevolent wells and all this stuff buying and all the influencers coming on and all that stuff, all the people and support and things happening that we're getting right now. If you believe the bull market just started, or if you believe it hasn't even started yet officially, or whatever your major, all this stuff is, for whatever sector, whatever you think, maybe Sack Daddy, OA, Godwell, whatever, maybe there's many more of them to come, many more benevolent actions or benevolent entities that haven't even joined us yet. That doesn't sound like an unserious assessment to me. Tetra holders unaffected. Oh God. Red squirrel. Funny. Crypto Incognito. I feel bad for all those who had EHEX stakes, but it's up to us what utility we give EHEX work on any other coin in the world. Yeah, I did. Yesterday, I hope I was able to express the, I get it. Like I was annoyed and frustrated when I first read it too. I was just like, more than not just the people building on stuff, but I was just like, man, another thing we gotta get through. Like I can do it. I'm up for it, but it's like, I don't, I avoid drama. I try to, I really like to see people get rewarded for, I don't know what the bar is these days, like just buying Hex, there's so many different coins out there in our ecosystem too. But just when I see someone who likes Hex and they buy Hex and they stake Hex, I love that. And I want to see them be rewarded. I want them to be, however delayed it takes, I want them to have that gratification of being like, I made a good choice. This is the right product. And I want it to happen, especially when, if you believe, the price will go up in the future instead of them buying the top. I hope as many people as possible buy the bottom and, take what they need out of the top or stake it for longer through the cycles, whatever they're comfortable with. I want them all to be rewarded. And when I see, especially the builders, I know so many people in the community that are building on EHEX and supporting EHEX, and just obvious two that come to mind, Maximus guys and Alex from Hedron and stuff. And it's just like, man, there's people that I want those people to be continuously rewarded for building on these products, to building on, not only building in the greatest ecosystem on earth, PulseChain, but building on what I believe to be the greatest product, Hex. So I don't like to see them have to, I don't like to see them frustrated or I don't like to see them not be rewarded. I want to see them just be rewarded as much as possible because it's inspiring. Other people see them getting rewarded. Hey, I want to build on Hex. Look at what happened to them. They did a lot of good stuff. They were appreciated. Their work all panned out. And, but again, it's almost like trade. It's like it can't always happen. But again, I feel for people when it doesn't happen. I want good things to happen to people who put in that time, energy, effort, and especially building on Hex. And I know there's a bunch of different projects that are building on Hex, and I hope they all turn out well and hope they all feel, appreciated and they get rewarded and all that stuff. Some of them are early, some of them are been around for a while and otherwise. But that's what I felt yesterday. I was just, man, all the builders who are supporting EHEX, and Pull Party just launched on, on both chains and stuff too. And you got all this, Alex from Hedron is having to go back and maybe adjust a little bit of stuff. And I want people to be rewarded for building and stuff on Hex and buying Hex. Again, imagine, I don't know if anyone has any stats on this, Ben Sierra or anyone who does all these hardcore stats on Hex. Maybe Hexfire's got some stats. Crispy Man from Hexfire, but the people who started stakes before this, a week or two ago, who started big EHEX stakes or otherwise, like, I want them to be rewarded. I don't want them to be like, oh, I chose this product and now I'm getting, they made the wrong choice because they chose the original chain or something. And it's not because I don't like this. I hope we're all kind to people like that. And even the people who chose one side or the other or whatever, but especially I want us to be kind and not call people stupid for choosing Hex on either Ethereum or PulseChain. Like I don't know what is productive about that. Like anyone who chooses Hex on either of those chains, for them to be rewarded. So just scrolling down. Is there any staking opportunity for PulseX? Just search RHMax, single-side staking, PulseX, PulseChain, stuff like that. There are some different community protocols and stuff where you may be able to do it, but natively, no opportunities. But again, I want to keep this mostly Hex focused. So I'll just say search the channel, RHMax, staking, PulseX, or single side staking. Otherwise, you should be able to find some content. Chronicar, how can RH say the bull market hasn't even started when Bitcoin new all-time high? Is it delusional? I think there's a lot of different ways of looking at the market. And I'm going to assume that RH is looking at the market that is most beneficial for a particular ecosystem. So whatever context he's calling it, he is the billionaire founder, genius guy, some believe. So I'm going to defer to him on that. But yeah, there's a lot of different ways to look at the market and cycles and what matters now and then and what time frame and all that stuff too. What's up, Archie? How's it going, man? How's it going? Hey, Mark. Yeah, man, how's it going, man? Listening back on Jim. Hope you're doing well. Great to meet you in Vegas. It's past time, talk validators and stuff. Bog to still hold on my Hex stakes. All right. May you have the maddest of gains. Anyone holding on to any Hex on PulseChain, Ethereum, all that, I hope you have the maddest gain. I can't tell you what's going to happen, but I hope one way or another you're rewarded for buying the greatest, the OG coin, my opinion. I mean, again, OG coin as in Hex on either PulseChain or Ethereum. I'm not saying eHex is the OG coin. I mean, not in that way, right? I guess it is, but I'm not picking eHex as my favorite coin, I guess is what I'm trying to say. What is my favorite coin now? I mean, I guess PulseChain Hex. I guess if I had to choose, it's PulseChain Hex. I kind of already chose that before when I said 60-40, but in case that wasn't clear, I guess PulseChain Hex is my greatest coin as of today. Greatest coin on what chain? PulseChain Hex. I guess I feel safe picking that one. Hex mostly. Quick summary. Why Hex is dropping, please. That would be because Richard Hart tweeted about basically promoting, and I think I saw a take, I forget who said it, but I think it's an interesting take too about it's again, we can all read into all these tweets and what they say and what they mean and what he means and all this stuff. I thought it was interesting. Somebody mentioned that he, it's not that he said eHex. I don't know. It was framed in a way that it's less about eHex being bad, although I don't know how to explain this technically, but put that aside for a minute. Put to the side all the stuff that he said was not advantageous for the eHex. I think his goal, and I agree with this take, whoever wrote it too, I think his goal is to promote Hex on PulseChain. If he needs, and apparently so, if he needs to, talk about all the disadvantages with Hex on Ethereum, that's what you need to do. That's the sacrifice part, right? You need to sacrifice Hex on Ethereum in order to get more people on PulseChain and more people buying Hex on PulseChain for it to be the dominant one. So I think that was interesting way of looking at it too. More promoting PulseChain, I don't know, ruthlessly, I guess you could say, or some form of that, rather than, just banging on eHex, I guess. Just scrolling here. Sorry, I can't get to everything, but I'm just gonna scroll. A lot of good comments, a lot of good questions, but I have a limited amount of time, so I'm gonna give you what I can here. Good news. Now we have parity on Hex price as well as ETH. Don't want to see you check cheap Hex anywhere, huh? It's again, you can take all these old quotes, you can take all these things and try to read in from the past. I've kind of, at this point, like I said, I pointed to this as, there hasn't been a consistency that I've seen. And again, I'm not saying I'm the smartest person. I think I have, the ability to, I have consumed a ton of content from RH, and I got to ask him at least one question live before and stuff too. But 2022, not a migration. 2023, market is decided. For the premium, 2024 Hex is PulseChain Hex. I have not seen a consistent message on which Hex is the one that should survive or will survive. And I don't even think, it's not even like he could, it's not like, okay, what if Richard tweeted, abandon eHex now? put aside all the stuff that would implicate or otherwise, but like, let's just say that happened. What if the market's like, no, don't want to do that? And maybe, of course, maybe it takes a bigger hit and all this stuff too, but it's not, this is crypto, RH has the most influence of anyone else, but it's not, I think it's more about emphasizing and getting Hex on PulseChain and PulseChain to dominate. It's more about PulseChain than anything else. And Hex, the sacrifice of Hex on Ethereum to strengthen Hex on PulseChain and to get the better chart. I went over a lot of stuff yesterday too, but what about the chart now? I was looking forward to that really glorious chart, but now for new people, they might see the old chart and be like, oh, I'm not buying that thing, because they don't know, right? But if you're here, you've seen that, you're like, man, that would be the most glorious chart ever. And you actually believe it could happen, or I actually believe it could happen, for example. But they see a new chart. So just look at the Hex PulseChain chart. So Hex PulseChain chart. That chart doesn't look like way up and then down for a long time. It doesn't look that way. So I'm going to speculate that to new people, maybe they prefer this chart. Maybe they're not interested in the massive gains. Maybe they're just interested in a chart that they don't have a bad first impression of. Right? So that's another piece. I think it's an interesting way of looking at it. Sorry, there's a lot of comments and questions. I'm just trying to scroll through, and if I miss yours, it's not because I don't necessarily want to post it. I just want to get through a few of these. Bruno C. Point, welcome. Good to see you. Pulsedemic, morning Max. Emotions of our ecosystem are high, but this will pass and riches will roll in. Patient, guys. I like that take, Pulsedemic. I like that take. Richard left a bad taste in everyone's mouth. I'm going to take that at just at face value as these moves are, again, it goes back to sacrifice. I hope this doesn't, again, I think a lot of the new people, there's so many different ways to look at this. I think a lot of the new people don't care because they haven't been around. They haven't experienced up and downs. Maybe for the best, right? In a lot of ways. But the people who've been around forever, again, the builders and stuff, the people who, it's unknown. I don't know. Maybe a lot of the products some of the products may even be even more useful now for eHex. There's angles for that. But yeah, if you've been around for the last 2 or 3 years and then this happens, I don't think it's crazy to not be super happy with Richard when you see this, unless, again, you have this ability to just kind of look deeper and you have unshakable confidence in the ecosystem and you've studied and believe and look at the data and look at the numbers and all this stuff and kind of see that things can happen that you don't understand, and you may think they're not the right move at the time, but you're going off of less information than the person who's performing them. So it's not for everyone. I'll say that. Not for everyone. I don't agree with everything Richard does. I've constructively criticized him before, and I'm a first principles thinker, and I don't know, we don't work for him. He doesn't work for us, right? So, but I'm not going to be like, oh, Richard's making the wrong move. Who am I to, my personal, the way I look at it, who am I to the person without the person, I got my ear to the ground to the ecosystem and a lot of stuff too, in a lot of different ways. But, I'm not his roommate. I'm not his, I'm not his best friend. I'm not someone who has privy to any more information than anyone else. I haven't even talked to him for a long time. I don't think, not that I ever actually had a long form conversation or anything, but I don't know. It's either as somebody says, it is what it is. And how much does it really matter? Maybe it feels like it really matters now, but maybe it doesn't in the future. Maybe it just doesn't matter. Maybe what if EHEX, we get a deeper discount, or it goes down more, or whatever. Whatever the worst case for EHEX you can think of. Let's just say that happens. Let's just do it hypothetical. Whatever the worst case you think is, it happens. Are you only holding EHEX, or are you holding other coins like Hex on PulseChain, Hex, for example, PulseX, or Ink, whatever, the other core coins, the other coins you like that are RH coins? Are you holding those? Well, what if those coins do really well? If you're just holding these coins, if you're building on it and doing different stuff, and you have different ways, there's different stuff going on. But if you're just holding the coins, and the worst thing you think could happens to EHEX, but all the other coins go up, is it, you think you'll feel better if everything else goes up? Is it just the uncertainty of you don't know if everything else is going to go up or something? It seems like if you believe everything else is going to go up, then, let's say you got evenly split between all 5 of them. If you lose 20% of your investment, everything else goes up, to glory numbers. Or is this, does that sound better? It's easy to think about the worst case scenario and then think just everything's going to be bad, but I don't think that usually happens. Historically, I haven't seen that happen. So again, I don't know what's going to happen, but I think there's more interesting ways to look at it than my EHEX went down in value and now my stakes are worth less or otherwise, and I don't like Richard anymore or whatever. I think there's more interesting questions there. Again, acknowledged, it sucks, but anytime coins go down, RH coins go down, it sucks, but I think the future's bright. I'll say that. Just scrolling, man. Suzy Q, how's it going? Welcome. Fascinating, just to shake out. It could turn out that way. It could turn out that way. And it could turn out that EHEX has a super deep discount and never quite comes back. However, if it's, liquidity bonded, maybe it does okay. Maybe this is just literally, I don't know. To me, the most reasonable take is like, this is making a clear separation of Hex on PulseChain and Hex on Ethereum. Deeper discount, and staking and stuff starts to happen much more. A lot of activity and stuff starts to happen much more over time on PulseChain. But EHEX is still around. That's, to me, again, I'm not giving anyone advice, no financial advice, I don't make predictions or anything, but to me, if that were to happen, that doesn't sound unreasonable. Don't know if it's going to happen, but that doesn't sound unreasonable. Yeah, and if you a lot of this stuff, only if you have both copies. If you're staked, for example, let's say you were staked before PulseChain and you got copies on both chains. Yeah, the free money was nice, and if the airdrop one happened to be the one that's most successful in the future, and the other one, is worth less, still you got the copy of the hexes. I know, the prices went down together, stock split, all that stuff, but if you believe Hex is going to perform really well, how much does it matter in the long run? I think that's a question worth thinking. What's up, Hex Contractor? Good to see you, man. Glad you can make it. Alex Santos, how's it going? I don't know how far I'm behind, but Kaiser, good to see you, Kaiser. Good to see you. Sorry, I cannot get to all these questions. Scrolling. Grace Alexander, Queen of Hex, thank you for reassurance and knowledge. Very welcome. I guess the reassurance would be that I don't think Hex is going to zero. I'm not sure I gave a lot of reassurance otherwise, but I guess reassurance, I hope I'm able to give reassurance in the ability to think from this from first principles instead of having, the emotional type of thinking on it. Reassurance that the ecosystem is still alive and well. And this is yet another fantastic thing to get over. Shout out to Dipcatcher, by the way. And Gold Key and Alex Mejia. Yeah. Shout out to everyone. Ton of different people that are doing amazing stuff out there. Alan, where have you been? Please hashtag replay gang. First watch the one yesterday and then today, and you'll be super up to date, I promise. Mo Funk, why would RH gaslight by claiming free coins when in fact it was just an exchange from P to E? Biggest airdrop for Hexans. I assume pissed. Like I said here, I asked him on stream a while back if it was migration. Said no on the migration, which I think is fair, honestly, because this was before it launched, way before it launched. I'm not sure if it was a year before or otherwise. So I don't think migration would be the right way to think about it. Even if he wanted it to be a migration, I don't think he could, technically he couldn't do that. He could definitely push everyone in that direction. But even if he wanted it to be that way, why wouldn't he want to see what the market does first? Whether they sold their whole EHEX, or they sold their free their free copy, their airdrop of Hex, stuff like that. I think waiting to see how it shook out instead of making a captain's call on something big like that makes sense. But then, the market has, again, to see the timeline, market has decided a premium type of thing. I think, like I said, it would be before everyone built all these new products and people were putting all this stuff together and making new stakes and stuff. It would have been nice to know it earlier than, 10 months after launch, for example. And that's not really a criticism. It's just more of like, is there any benefit in not knowing it earlier? Like, is there any benefit in this happening now? I guess that's the question. I'm not sure in the benefit of knowing, of knowing what we know now today instead of back then. I can't think of one. I mean, maybe there is, but I can't think of one. But that's, again, we don't know. Maybe there is some reason. And this is all, I hope we look back on this, of all the things we perceive to be negative that happen in the ecosystem or otherwise, and they turned out to be positives. And that's not a coping mechanism. It's just more of, if you believe that Richard wants what's best for this ecosystem, whether you believe in, he's pulling certain strings or not, if he wants what's best, whether it's the capital deployment or the tweeting, I don't believe I believe he is smart enough to do things in a way that have maximum effect of what he feels is the best thing to do. Now, whether he's always right, that's a different story. Whether, you agree with it, or it's good for your bags and your situation, or if you're staked, you're not staked, you're liquid, and all these things affect people differently. But for better, for worse, yeah, we have a captain. I think it's overall for the better. It can be frustrating at times, but I think it's overall for the better. So, thanks, Max, for Go Real DeFi. Appreciate that. GoRealDeFi.com. I like that website a lot. I think it's about all I got. Maybe I'll take, like one more question, and I'll wrap it up. Put on the Hex chart. Any other interesting takes? Any other angles that I didn't cover I can think of? Steady. Praying people to complain the SEC. April 8th, by the way. April 8th. Nuclear Herbs has agreed to come on the show around that time, maybe a couple days after or so, to give us an update on stuff going on around the case around that time, around the SEC stuff. I think that'll be really fascinating. I'm very excited about that. And it's a bull market. So I think in general, I think there's a chance that people will be making so much money that it'll be a different story than in the bear market. So I think there'll be much less. I hope there's much less to complain about in our ecosystem and broadly as well. DJ and Doug, everyone's freaking out, man. I hear you, man. I hear you. I don't have anything to freak out about. I'm not sure it's because I'm not 100% in EHEX, or if I were, I'm not sure I believe it's going to zero. But I think those two scenarios, the opposite of that would be concerning. But that's not my particular situation. I don't like to talk about my situation, but that's not, I'll say that's not my particular situation. So hopefully they're able to get some solace from that, from just listening to some commentary. Mr. Chuck, good to see you. What do you think is the minimum number of EHEX T-shares to stake, break even on ETH gas fees for a 5555 stake during a bull run? Oh man. Well, Hex is only 4 years old right now, so we're talking about way in the future. Even if you started 4 years ago or started them today, what did the number used to be? I think for a while it was like, what is the number that if you had below that, it made sense to do pulled staking? It was like a no-brainer. I think it used to be like 100K, but maybe I'm not sure what the Hex price was at the time. So maybe now it's $1 million. I'm not really sure. I don't have any off the top of my head, but I would say, I mean, the way I've always thought about it is, in general, I think just to zoom out on staking and pull staking and stuff, pulled anything. What are pulls for? Pulls are for when you want to get an advantage by giving up, either control or, there's DeFi protocols where you don't have to do that, but, pulled sacrifices, right? You give your money to some entity or someone else and they make sacrifice and you get whatever bonus. So in DeFi protocol, you're splitting rewards, right? You're saying, okay, we could be bigger if we go in together, and whoever is the, whatever percentage you get out of that is how much you put in. All different ways to look at it. So if you apply that to Hex staking, the way I look at it is, am I staking enough where I feel like the rewards I'm getting is worth it to do it natively, HSIs, whatever, versus using a pulled option? I don't know what that number is off the top of my head, but I feel like if and when I go to do it again, I will be able to calculate that appropriately. And also I would factor in the ETH gas fees seem incredibly high right now. But even very soon, I think You got the Dinkin upgrade coming for Ethereum. And we'll see if that lowers fees. And then that's only the first step for lowering fees in this particular way. I think it's the proto-dank sharding. And then maybe dank sharding is after that or something. But once this, 2025, 2026, there's a chance that Ethereum fees may be much cheaper. And hopefully the PulseChain price will go way up, and transactions on PulseChain are, obviously naturally will be more expensive than they are today if the price goes way up, because things aren't priced in US dollar, they're priced in Gwei or Beats, I guess, or Pulse or whatever you want to say about it. And then we take those upgrades and we have cheaper gas fees too. So let's talk about this on the DCC stream, the Mega Crypto stream. If you haven't seen that, it's fantastic, by the way. You should watch it. We all got together in Vegas and talked about crypto and PulseChain Hex and stuff. Either way, we win. PulseChain wins as far as like the network stuff goes. They get upgrades, we get upgrades. 4,000 IQ Alien, shout out there, friend Somi. Solves major problems for Ethereum 2.0. We're a fork of it. Their devs could take advantage of that too. So I think, I'm not sure what the number is, but I think hopefully I gave you some interesting nuance to help you think about if that's what you're planning on doing. And then, just with EHEX, right? I would also be factoring in, I said at the beginning of the stream, like, I don't know about long-term staking on EHEX at this point because there's so much uncertainty, right? So I may have to adjust my numbers on how much percentage I use, PX versus EHEX. But again, it's been 24 hours. We'll see how the market decides. Maybe I don't change anything else at all. As far as the way I look at it, maybe I do. I'm gonna give it some time, but right now it's interesting times. Successful struggle. Don't sell the golden goose. It's an important thing I like to keep in mind. I don't like to sell my money printers. I like the way Coffee talks about it too. If you believe Hex is going to $1 and you have Hex and then you go to sell Hex, the ideal is if I were going to sell Hex, I would think, okay, do I want to sell $1 million if I'm selling 1 million Hex, if I believe Hex is going to be $1? If I think about it that way, it makes me not want to sell Hex as much. Before, prior to, if I believe it's going to $1 prior to that, of course, that's the idea. All right. I think I'm going to call it a day. Appreciate you all joining me here. May we all have the maddest of gains. I hope that was helpful to go through some different scenarios and my thoughts. Again, if you haven't watched the first one, I cover a lot of different stuff in that one too. You just type in Hex emergency stream. It's shorter than this stream actually, so it won't take much time if you're interested. But that happened 8 hours afterwards, 8 or 10 hours afterwards. This one happened around 24 hours afterwards. And anyways, hopefully that was helpful. Shout out to all the Hexicans. I do think RH tries to do things that sets the best up in the future. I know that it isn't always easy to understand sometimes, but if we get some more green candles and price go up a lot, maybe it'd be a lot easier to digest. So that's all I got for you today. Scivive and 5555. We are out.